Hi, Sweaty Jen back again. Sorry it's been so long since I've actually made a video about hyperhidrosis. I feel a little bit rusty, but I'm really happy to be here, and the topic today is one that I have been meaning to talk about for quite some time now. The topic is going to college and living with hyperhidrosis. I struggled a lot in college with hyperhidrosis as well as my mental health. I wasn't quite sure what to talk about, but I did some research and I also did some reflecting on my experience in college, and I came up with a list of things that I did do as well as things that I wish I had done during college to ease my experience a bit. With that being said, let's dive right in. The first and most important thing I recommend if you are in college with hyperhidrosis is to seek treatment from a doctor or a dermatologist. I went through all of college with untreated hyperhidrosis. I had no solutions in my toolbox and I was just going for it. But looking back, if I had sought out help from a doctor or a dermatologist and received some kind of treatment, whether it was topical treatment, medicine, Botox, even the sweat-absorbing undershirts could be a big game changer with how my experience in college was. And also talking with the doctor about your condition, about your hyperhidrosis, can also open the discussion to talk about your mental health. If you struggle with anxiety, depression, ADHD, any of the mental illnesses that are much more prevalent in those of us with hyperhidrosis, it's so important to manage your conditions and to work on treating them, or at least minimizing the negative side effects that are coming out of the conditions you have. And I think that is very important because it'll improve everything overall. If you are able to find a good solution for your hyperhidrosis, your experience during college is going to go so much smoother. Or if you're able to find a good therapist or good medication for a mental ailment you're dealing with, your experience in college is going to go so much smoother. So definitely take the plunge, put that effort in, and try to seek help if you can. Like I said, I never did, and looking back, that is something I would have definitely taken the time to do. But I think I've also changed since then, and so if you don't go seek help from a doctor or something like that, you still can get through college. It's just, I think, going to be more challenging. The second thing that I recommend you do if you're in college with hyperhidrosis, that I also didn't do and I kick myself for, is to meet with the disability office. Meeting with the disability office, from what I understand, is beneficial because they can work with you and your professors to come up with solutions to kind of minimize the stressful occurrences that need to be happening during your time in these professors' classes. So I know for me, a big problem I struggled with during college was handwritten assignments or note-taking in class where you couldn't use a computer. Because of my sweat getting on the paper and being left-handed, it would take me a lot longer to write my notes. I would get a lot of complaints from my teachers about my handwriting or my papers seeming dirty, when in reality it was something completely out of my control. So if you meet with the disability office, chances are they'll be able to either give you some extensions on taking tests or turning in assignments to give you an adequate amount of time to find a space in time where you're not sweating profusely to complete your assignments, because that's a huge thing. It's hard to even do assignments sometimes at all when you're sweating, because it makes it impossible to focus on what you're trying to focus on, and not being able to find a single second where you can even do your assignment without sweating all over it. So I think working with the disability office, they might be able to help you get extensions, or at least help you open up that conversation with your professor about the condition you have and why your papers might look a little dirty or whatever. So it can't hurt. If you have gone to the disability office and discussed your hyperhidrosis, even if it wasn't in college, like even in elementary, middle school, high school, etc., please leave your experience down in the comments below, because I am curious what kind of reaction was given to you, as well as if any accommodations were made for you because of your condition. So let me know. And if you do decide to go discuss your condition at the disability office, please let me know how that goes. I know a lot of people generally don't understand our condition and we have to explain it, but just remember, I'm here and I want to hear your experience. So if you try it out, let me know what your experience is and how it goes. The next advice I have, and I actually did this one, is opt for online classes as much as possible. I think minimizing the time you have to spend in a classroom setting can be really beneficial in the anxiety and depression and mental illness realm of living with hyperhidrosis, because a big stressor for me when I was in college was just being around my classmates and worrying that they would see my sweat, or when I stood up there would be a sweat stain on the chair, or when I was giving a speech that everyone would see my huge pit stains or the sweat literally dripping off of my palms. So putting yourself into an environment like an online class where you don't have to deal with that uncomfortable interacting, that can be extremely beneficial in helping you be successful in college and in completing your schoolwork, because if you're not as anxious, you're most likely going to be sweating less, which means your homework and test taking is going to be much easier and less uncomfortable. But if you are a type of learner who would struggle learning online, I think it's more important to make sure that you're learning as well as you should be. So if you need to be in a classroom setting with the teacher there and the whiteboard and everything in order to learn properly, definitely I would say still go to class and don't do online classes. The next advice I have a supportive group of friends or even a supportive roommate that you room with during college. A big factor in our mental health is dependent on the types of people we have around us. If we have people around us who love us, support us, treat us with kindness and how we want to be treated, that's going to make us feel 1,000 times better than if we're alone or if we're around people who make us feel bad about ourselves. So definitely put yourself out there, be courageous, talk to people who you see yourself getting along with. Don't let your sweat keep you from talking to the people who you're interested in talking to. I know for me it was a big roadblock, but in my college days I also pushed myself out of my comfort zone a lot and I met a lot of really great people. So definitely push your boundaries and try to meet people who you want to be friends with, because it's college. It's the time to get to know who you are, and chances are you're not going to see most of these people once you graduate. So be authentic to yourself, get to know yourself, and try not to let your hyperhidrosis or your anxiety or anything like that stop you. And I know easier said than done, but it's usually more scary in our mind than it really is once we do it. Another recommendation I have is to keep a cold water bottle or even a frozen water bottle with you during class to hang on to. Not only will it help keep us cool and keep sweating episodes from being triggered if you're the type of person who gets triggered by the heat. I definitely am. So keep a water bottle with you, and also it's good because it's like condensation and a lot of water's dripping, so you could kind of pass off some of your hand sweat as possibly condensation from the water bottle. And then another thing to always bring with you to class is a sweatshirt or something like that. I would most often bring a hoodie with or a jacket, and then I would sit on my hoodie so that my sweat wasn't left on the chair. And also I'd bring a hoodie with me to have under my hand for while I was writing. Having something under your palm while you write is like a must, and if you aren't doing it, you need to start. You either need to put a hoodie or a cloth of some kind under your hand while you write, or another piece of paper, and you can fold the paper in half and use that. But if you're not doing that, you've got to start doing that for sure. Another recommendation is to bring a change of socks or clothes with you in your backpack, or some body mist or deodorant with you in your backpack. I know for me, a lot of times the days would be really long where I was stuck at college and I couldn't go freshen up somewhere or take a shower or change my clothes. So I would sometimes bring socks with me in my backpack to change during a break, because having wet socks and wet shoes makes me really, really uncomfortable, as I'm sure it does to you too. So bring an extra pair of socks. All I say is bring a Ziploc bag with you to put the old socks into, because if you don't, your backpack will smell, your textbooks will start wrinkling from water damage, all sorts of bad stuff's gonna happen if you just throw a pair of wet socks in your backpack. Another piece of advice is to type your notes and your homework as much as possible over handwriting things, because writing on paper with pen and having hyperhidrosis is one of the most frustrating things in the world. And you know, typing and using a computer with hyperhidrosis isn't all fun and games, but it's a lot better, in my opinion, than using a pen and paper. So try to use your computer as much as possible for taking notes in class, doing your assignments at home. And if your teacher kind of seems like the type who prefers things to be handwritten, I highly suggest either go to the disability office or talk to them one-on-one about your condition to see if you could switch to a digital form of doing your homework or taking notes. And also, another tip in terms of trying to do things more digitally rather than pen and paper, if your teacher is the type who is like, you can't bring your computer into class. I don't know if there are teachers like that anymore. When I was in college, there definitely were teachers who wouldn't let you have your laptop in class. Let me know if that's still a thing. Anyways, if your teacher is the type who won't let you use your laptop in class to take notes, I highly recommend to print out their PowerPoints. And some teachers will even send you the PowerPoint that they'll be using during class ahead of time. See if they'll do that for you, because if you're sweating a bunch but they don't want your computer on the tables, at least you can take notes like on the slides that they're talking about, so that if you miss something because you were sweating and you couldn't keep up, at least it's right there and you have kind of a little study guide to go over it again. I found that was super helpful for me. This one is a big one, and it's definitely a more mature topic, but I want to talk about it because college is a place where a lot of experimentation happens. When you're in college and you have hyperhidrosis, chances are you're gonna be very stressed out and feeling lost and confused and alone and embarrassed, and I think that's all completely natural. I felt the exact same way, but I really urge you to not turn to drugs or alcohol or any unhealthy coping mechanisms like that, because all it's going to do is give you a temporary band-aid for your problem, and then in 5 years time or 10 years time or however long, you're gonna have to work on that additional problem that you created, because it's not a permanent solution for the problems that you're struggling with. So definitely do not turn to substances like alcohol or drugs to cope with the feelings of stress that you're having in college. Try to seek out healthy stress management techniques like yoga, meditation, talking to a therapist. Recently, I've been really into Tai Chi. You might have noticed I added a playlist onto my channel with Tai Chi videos. There's only 2 in it right now, but I loved both of those Tai Chi videos, and I wanted to add that playlist to my channel so that if any of you are interested in using Tai Chi as a technique to manage your stress, you have some resources, and I'll continue adding videos to that playlist if you want to use it. That's something I've been doing to manage my stress for the last week or so, and it works really well. I also love to just take a walk and get out of my head. The next tip and piece of advice I have for you is to build your confidence, whether you're sweating or not sweating. Always keep working on building your confidence and increasing your self-esteem, because that's really what it will all come down to, is being happy in your own skin and feeling like you're your authentic self. That is where true peace and true happiness is really going to come from. You know, like I could take medicine and do all these treatments for my sweating and be completely dry, but if I'm not happy with myself and who I am, sweating or no sweating, I'm not going to be happy. So always keep working on building your self-esteem and loving yourself and telling yourself that you're beautiful and that you're enough. It's a lifelong kind of assignment that we're given. So build your confidence in college. And then lastly, and most importantly, is to not give up when things get hard. Like I said, I went through all of college without having treatments or talking to a therapist or the disability office or anything. I went through it. It was pretty rough at certain points, but I did it and I came out the other end. I think for me, one of the biggest struggles in my college was A, sitting in a classroom setting around peers, and B, when I had to start doing internships in hospitals and nursing homes, being around a lot of new people and by myself with nobody else who I knew, that those 2 things were like the hardest things. So a lot of my kind of anxiety surrounding hyperhidrosis during my college days had to do with being around big groups of people, and I'm sure since that was the biggest problem for me, that it probably is for some of you too. And all I can say is that try to be as authentically you as you can be, and try to push the sweating out of your head as much as you can, to the point where you're not worrying about it so much, because looking back on it now, I'm realizing that I probably put a lot of crying and screaming and anger and sadness into things that I don't even remember now that had to do with my sweating. So try to stay calm and try not to give up. Try to remember that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and you will graduate eventually. And I'm always here if you want to talk about anything you're struggling with during college and living with hyperhidrosis. I might not be the best to help, but I'm more than willing to listen to what you're going through. If you ever want to reach out to me, you can reach me at my email, sweatyjen@gmail.com, and also I've been on Instagram more lately, and that is Jen Sweaty. Sweaty Jen was taken, sadly. In some exciting news, we are going to be getting a iontophoresis machine on the channel. I'm really looking forward to starting that journey with you guys too. Please stay tuned if you're interested in iontophoresis. If you use iontophoresis for your treatment now, please comment down below if you have any tips or tricks on a noob like me starting. I am willing to hear anything that you have to recommend, and of course I will be reading the owner's manual and stuff very carefully. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and give it a big thumbs up. If you didn't, don't thumbs it down, just give it a thumbs up anyway. I look forward to talking to you guys very soon. If you have any videos that you want to see or topics that you'd like to see me discuss, please let me know. And I'll see you very soon. Hope you have a great day and Hopefully you guys are doing okay with the weather heating up. I know it's been really challenging for me. I've been sweating a lot. But yeah, I will see you guys soon. Bye.